So here's our current situation. You remember the last time we saw this guy? We chopped that radiator support out of the middle of it there. Got that all handled. So now, as you can see, got a fair bit of wiring and controls, things that I've got to go over, and I've got to label what they all go to, unplug them, figure out what's grounds, what's not, label what everything goes to, and get it off of this thing so that we can put it onto our other one, just like I was talking about a little while ago. So I'm gonna get started. Now, as you can see, this side is a bit more involved because you got this big junction box, and then you got this big ball of crap right here that plugs into all type of different stuff. And then what you can't see is that it wraps around to the other side, and it's got like a PCM or an ECM, something like that, that's on the back side over there that I've got to get off of there too. So lots of large chunks. Some of this crap, I have no idea where it goes. I'm just going to have to figure out where it plugs into by process of elimination. Like this. That goes up on the head. I know where that goes, up over top of the valve cover. I mean, these are short pigtails, so hopefully they'll find their own way where they go. But I'm going to label the stuff that I know anyway. So, like this crap right here, this goes to ABS, this goes to ABS. This is a ambient air temp sensor maybe, ground. So, I don't know, let's see what we come up with. Well, next up, got to try to fit that there wiring harness back in here and figure out how I'm going to loom all this stuff and fit it all where it goes. Now, the thing about it is, it's the underhood is wider on each side than what it was on the other cab, but it's so tight right there that there's just not, as far as like the height wise, there's just not as much room to put things as you would think. And that stupid hood hinge is dead in the way where I really kind of need to put some stuff. So the first thing that I noticed is, I don't know if you can see it right there. That is the ECM where it comes through from the inside. ECM, PCM, whatever it's called. Well, the plug, the way it comes in, it wants to plug like this with the wiring harness coming in like that. Well, that's how the plug wants to sit. Well, unfortunately, the way the ECM is sitting, it needs to come in from this opposite direction. So first things first, I'm going to see if I can pop that ECM off the firewall on the inside, see if I can flip it over, turn it around. Maybe that way I can do it with the way the wire naturally wants to bend. That would help out an awful lot. So that's my first step. Try to get that thing out, see if I can turn that over. That would be very helpful, but let's not hold our breath. All right, so as you can see, I've got the bracket. You remember I had to kind of bend to move the bracket around a little bit so it would play nice with the parking brake cable where we got it sitting. Now it just sits in this plastic thing that looks like it screws on here with a couple 7mm and then slides out. So let's see if we can get it out and flip this thing around where it'll play a little bit nicer with us. If I remember correctly, this thing fits in here pretty tight because with this sound deadening material here, plus the sound deadening material that I put on the front right there, plus all that was kind of bent up a little bit when I first put the body together and had to hammer it all back out straight. So it's all a pretty snug fit. So let's see what we get here. See if we can get it off here. Well, that wasn't so bad. Well, sounded good. Now, will it actually function? Oh, I don't know if you can see, this is kind of offset to one side. I don't know if that's gonna work. I know, just stick it in there and see. Yeesh. I don't know. I don't remember if there was anything else in there that it could hit. Let me look around the other side, see if there's anything it's hitting. Well, it's definitely putting it at a funky angle. I don't. I'll have to go back and look at my videos and see if there was anything right here in this immediate area that it could hit under the dash, or see if I can make this work maybe. Come on. I don't know if that will ever seal the way it's supposed to. All right, so I took the thing back off because, see if I can squeeze myself in this little area here. All right, so I took it back off because this piece of plastic holds it out off this bracket just enough that it puts everything in a bind if I try to put this thing in here the way that I want so it'll plug in. So what I got to looking at is the programmer that I've got goes right here, and my understanding is you have to cut the back side out of this bracket anyhow, somewhere right in here. You have to cut that all out to plug the programmer in anyway. So what I got to looking at is I can stick this guy in place right here. If I just set it against this steel bracket, I can slide it in there where I want it, and I can just make me a little metal bracket that'll come out and hold it in right there. And then I do believe that I'll be just fine. I'll be able to plug this thing on the other side, and then I'll just do away with this piece of plastic altogether. I'll use the screws that I've got right here. I'll just make a little bracket that comes up, kind of wraps around it to there. Should be good to go. So that's my plan right now. I'm not going to go ahead and throw this away or go to a whole bunch of trouble. I'm probably just going to take a quick grip and put on this right now to hold it in place. And I'm going to go on and get all the wiring and everything done. And if everything all works out good, I don't have to change anything else, then I'll come back and I'll make this bracket for this, because that won't take very long. So right now I'm going to go get a quick grip. I'm going to put this thing on. I'm going to see if I can go ahead and it's got a 10mm bolt in the middle of that wiring bulkhead right there. So I'm going to go and see if I can plug it in, kind of move on to the next thing. I've got a bank of 3 plugs that go right here, but they come down, they're attached to the dash itself. So right now I just got to make sure that those bank of plugs will sit in here where they're supposed to be without hitting any metal or being a problem in any kind of way. And if all that works good, then we'll start moving on with the wiring on the outside, see what we get. All right, so check this out. So, see that tiny gap right there between that there tire and wheel, you know, right there? That's where I'm trying to fit my 6 foot, 220 pound body. As you can imagine, that ain't working so good. So, I'm gonna jack this joker up, get that wheel off of there. That way I can kind of get in there. Once I got to really looking at it, I'm gonna have to actually cut. Let's see if I can. I'm actually. Ooh, no, there you go. Right back at me. I'm gonna have to do some cutting on that wheel well in there to get the clearance for those wires the way that I want. So let's get this wheel off here and let's get started with a little whittling. All right, got that out of the way. Now you see I made me a little red line there. That's gonna be my cut line. It's probably a little more than what I really need to cut, but I'm really only trying to cut this thing one time and be done with it. So I'm gonna get that cut. That way we can move on and try to get these wires put on here. So here we go. Well, as you no doubt saw, I decided to cut a little less than where my line was. I just thought, man, it's gonna be throwing all that crap up right there. The more metal I can keep there, the better off I am. I don't know, I can always cut more. Let's see. This is ABS wire. I think that's what that is. Yeah, that really doesn't even need to be right there. That actually needs to be here. There now, let's see. Black, gray, brown. Let's see what order they need to be in coming out of the dash. So it looks like where the wire's gonna stick out from the dash right there, it's gonna go black, then brown, then gray. So, get that pushed out just a little bit. Let's see how she sits here. Whew. It looks like it's gonna be tough. I think I'll be all right though. Over there. The top one looks like it's definitely gonna be the worst. That one's no problem. And the gray is no problem. So really I might could just cut a little bit right here. Clearance that out just a touch and I think I'll be fine. So let's cut a little more. Make sure there's nothing up there I can hit. Nope, I'm in pretty good shape. Oh yeah, we're gonna be home free now. Heck yeah. Good to go. I'm not tighten that yet. I could probably stand and tighten that too, huh? All right. Oh yeah, I left that loose so I could align it all. All right, so we got that stuff to kind of fit in place. So this is the factory bracket where the main fuse box set in. They had a little tiny fuse box to set on the side. I'm gonna try to utilize this thing if I can. First thing I gotta do is I gotta kind of trim some off the bottom, kind of see if I can get it to sit in there in place. If I can get it to sit in place, I'll find a way to put some screws in this dude to hold it. So I'm gonna do a little trimming and I'll come back and update you. I'm not gonna film every bit of this because Lord only knows how long it's gonna take for me to trim and fit and trim and fit and trim and fit. We'll just hit the high points. All right, so here's what we got. You know, obviously I made the cut down there so that my wires can move around. I started with that big old bracket like I showed you. And basically, this big old apparatus used to sit on here, you know, something like this. And I decided all that crap was in the way. This is what actually holds the junction box and then this little tiny junction box that goes with it. So my plan is basically, I want to just kind of mount this joker right in here, something like this. That way it'll sit down low enough, it clears all my braking components and all that good stuff, and all my wiring is still nice. It sits in there where it needs to be, and it's tucked out of the way because this hinge isn't gonna move at all. So my next plan now, it's got these little pieces that stick down, which actually I think might work good because there's a ridge on this. So I think it might actually kind of make it sit somewhat flat-ish. So I think what I'm gonna do is, there's a little hole right here I'm gonna use, and I'll maybe drill like a hole over here and get me some, I don't know, like a small, like a 6mm screw or something like that, and a little nut with some Loctite or a lock nut or something like that. Just pop some holes right in here when I figure out where I want it to go, and just screw it down. And then I should be able to just sit that guy right in here and move on. This side of the wiring harness is definitely, well, I say definitely, I think it's going to be the hardest part because this is the largest jumble of wires is right here. The rest of this will kind of stretch across the cowl up here. I think I'm going to try to tuck it kind of right under the cowl right here. I don't know how that, I don't know how much heat that turbo puts off. Surely it's not enough to melt the wires. I mean, I guess if I wanted to, I could go up above the cowl because it's not going to be in the way of the hood. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. I've got some of those zip ties with the hole in them that you can screw in. So maybe I'll do it that way. I don't know. I'll figure that out when the time comes. Right now, this is my main goal. So I am going to put this fuse box in here and figure out where I want to put some holes. Actually, no. I'm going to set this in place and figure out where I want to put the holes in here. Then I'll mark them on there and figure it all out. So just watch. Just see what I'm going to do. So it looks like I got an extra little bracket right here that I can cut off. So I'm gonna whack that dude off of there. And unfortunately, I think I broke this little part of this junction block right here when I was taking it off. So I'm probably gonna have to order one of those tomorrow. So which is fine because I got to order an O-ring for these two lines anyway because I just now hooked them back up. So I'll order those O-rings and I'll get this junction box coming all at once. So meantime, I'll get this stuff kind of marked in place. I kind of like where it's sitting right there, so I'm gonna try to pull this up and out of there and I don't know, mark it some type of way. Actually, no, I'm just gonna pull it up and out and go ahead and make my holes to mount the stupid thing, and then we'll come back and mark some places to mount. So I'm gonna cut this off and then put some holes in it. Here we go. Swanky Home Depot bucket. Some of them, for this, I'm going to be using your basic Krylon Rust Tough. Some, I don't know, gloss black, flat black, semi, I don't know what the hell it is, but it's black nonetheless. So, here we go. Oh man, look at that. Just like it's made for it. Shoot, yeah. Alright, so that probably won't rust, and if it does, by the time it rusts through, I ain't gonna have this image no more, no way. So, nonetheless, sorry about the cussing. I forgot where I was for a minute. This stuff takes forever to dry, so I'm gonna move on. I got the holes marked in the wheel well, so now we'll go drill those, and I remembered that I have my rib nut set here, so I'm just gonna put 3 rib nuts in it, and we'll just do it with that. So let's go over there and make some holes. Alright, so I found me some little small metric bolts that I've got, and I've got some nut certs that will fit, so I'm going to try to see if I can get in here and drill some holes and put some rib nuts in. Sure, I'll miss this by a mile. I don't use these small ones too often, so you have to set this guy up. Oh, oh yes, there we go. Shouldn't be too hard. Oh, come on. Really? There you go. That worked out okay. See how that worked out. Pretty nice. Now getting into this next one's gonna be tough, I know that. Oh. think I might have crimped that one a little bit too far. Being kind of stubborn coming back out. Ah, that's okay. Like I said, I'm sure I'm missing all these holes by a country mile, so story of my life. There we have it. Blow that crap off. It's the next day and our bracket's right here. It's all dry. Now you can see it had this little edge that was folded over here. I kind of had to flatten it right here and right here because there's a ridge that this thing sits on. And although there's an indentation right here, I'm still gonna have to put 2 little washers under it to kind of space it out so this thing will sit flat the way I want. But I think it's gonna work out. So I got my little tiny bolts right here. Get a socket that fits that right quick. Leave it to 8. Okay. Let's give this a shot. Got my 2 little tiny washers. So if I can just get this guy to sit up here out of the way for a hot second, which I'm sure it's not going to do. Not willingly anyway. Hey. There we go. Those 2 guys right there. Looks like my holes line up a little bit. For anyway. That one started. This thing fits really tight in here against this hinge back here in the back, so we're gonna have to cross our fingers on that one. Get it in here, it's going to take a little bit of wiggling, I do believe, but hey, look at that. Oh, as far as I can here. Alright, look underneath, make sure they're not sticking up too far. Oh no, that's really nice actually. Huh? Let's see how this works out. It'll sure enough be snug. I missed. There's that side. Hey, look at that. Well, there you go. That about does it for episode 44. Wiring going pretty smooth so far. About as smooth as you could expect anyway when you're melding 2 trucks together that are so many years apart. You know, the key to, doing stuff like this is just to take your time and expect that you're going to run into some challenges along the way, like I did with having to flip the ECM over and, just figuring out where to locate stuff. And I mean, a lot of times, like what I did with, the way the pigtails landed, I kind of let stuff locate itself. The wires will only go so far. I'm not really trying to chop up this wiring harness in 1,000 pieces and have a bunch of splices and all that. I'm going to try to keep everything pretty much right with the original length of the wires, because there's enough things that have changed along the way in this deal to not have to worry about when I get ready to turn the key for the first time. If something doesn't work right, to think, oh man, I got 10,000 splices in this thing. Any one of those could be the problem. So trying to keep it as stock as possible, to keep it as simple as possible. So hope you liked it so far. Tune in for the next one. As always, like, subscribe. You got questions or comments, throw them down there and let's have a chat. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.